Economic Invincibility, and we are going to talk about 5 bad reasons to get a Master of Business Administration, more commonly known as the MBA. Now, to begin, I'm going to just qualify and say I am talking about lower tier, online, hybrid, and every other assortment of the general MBA populace. I'm not talking about Booth, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, that group. So if you want to come with prissy comments about that, it's just going to prove that you don't know how to follow a video properly. But I'm making this video because I've seen a disturbing number of people who either are enrolled in these programs or are strongly anticipating or considering enrolling in one, and they don't seem to understand what they're getting themselves into. The first point which people will usually string out is, well, an MBA is the golden ticket to success. And I guess if by golden ticket they mean the shiny edge of the EBT card they're going to be using if they keep making poor decisions, they'd be correct. This idea of the MBA as this passage to paradise comes from its original founding. Back in the day, MBAs were established with the idea in mind that they were for people who had experience. So you went to work for a corporation, you proved yourself for a certain number of years, and then you applied to an MBA sort of to make yourself more well-rounded and more competitive for senior management. So it was a stepping stone towards that. But now it's become something that every Joe Schmo can attain, even if they haven't proved themselves in the business environment. People always say, but it'll get me there, it'll get me a new job, it'll allow me to break in somewhere, and they don't seem to understand the reality. Especially if you are a male and you don't come from old money, you're not going to go to Wall Street because you have some general MBA. The main person who was in the news for something like that, she just had an undergraduate business degree, but it was this chick on CNN Money who, I guess she came illegally, or her parents came illegally from Mexico, and she got hired ultimately by Goldman Sachs after going to college. And they were saying how this is such a great, inspiring story to promote the DREAM Act. And I'm thinking, okay, so you or your parents came in illegally, that's one argument you can have, but you broke the law. But then you go to work for Goldman Sachs, which is a disgusting, blood-sucking corporation that bankrolls our politicians, that is responsible for much of the financial problems we've been having as a country. But, oh yeah, we need to cheer them on because she made $300K. That's the whole mentality of America now. It's like, as long as you made money, it doesn't matter what your moral code is, which is quite unfortunate. But that's the first false reason, poor reason to pursue an MBA. Now, the second reason that comes up is, well, it's low tuition, it's easy admission. Why not? Well, that's like the worst reason you can pursue something, just because it's cheap and easy to attain. Usually those should be red flags. If a university, well, of course, I wouldn't say tuition's low because the minimum I've seen for online ones are $20K, and that's not a small chunk of change for a piece of paper. But on the other front, if a university says you don't need experience to get an MBA, that should be a big, big red flag. And if they also say you don't have to take the GMAT, that also should be a warning sign. Because let's be clear, the reason they're doing this is not because, oh, we want more people to learn business. No, they want more people to pay them money. If they were honest, their entire MBA program would teach you how to set up a university and scam people into getting degrees that aren't actually going to help them. Okay? The whole idea, the reason they require no experience is because they want people who have maybe just done internships or worked retail, who don't have real corporate experience or business experience on senior level or owning a company. They want them to go in so that they can have more people in their program paying. They also want people who are not maybe mathematically inclined, because you tell someone take the GMAT, they look at the GMAT prep book, they're like, oh shoot, that's got math. That's going to scare away some people, some liberal arts majors at least. So of course they say that's not a requirement. So just go in and take this program without proper qualification. It's the reason it's not a good option. If you were to take an MS in accounting or an MS in finance, both of which require you to have usually a background in finance or accounting, it's different. They're not going to let any Joe Schmo into those programs because they know they're not going to succeed. But in the MBA, yeah, it's fine. And we'll get into that in the next point, which is concerning. Yeah, but I mean, it'll train me for business, man. It's like, yeah. How many people have you heard got an MBA and then became from that, from what they learned, started a massive company. It doesn't work that way. Or got an MS in master's in entrepreneurship, started a great business. No, those are the people who go and learn principles and theories that they don't know how to apply. And I'm astonished. You look at these business books and they talk about, are you a manager X or a manager Y type? And you have all these charts and graphs about marketing concepts and management styles. Guys, it's very simple. A good manager is someone who is relatively level-headed, who knows how to delegate, who doesn't micromanage the hell out of everyone, and who knows how to resolve conflicts and knows how to manage payroll, manage the books. That's what a good manager knows how to do. Your MBA program is going to be filled usually with a lot of fluff, management theory, HR, and then there'll be a cognate of 12 to 15 credits in finance or accounting if you're smart and you choose those. But those usually aren't going to give you the proper requisites to sit for the state board test for a CPA or a CFA. Why? Because they're not in depth enough. And so if you don't have an undergrad in accounting or finance, you're not even able to go after those certifications, industry certifications, which are more valuable. How do you look at the average salary of CPA? They do much better than someone who just has an MBA, because an MBA is largely a general degree. So you're going to get the coursework necessary. It's just a lot of nonsense. You're going to pay a lot of money for textbooks and a lot of money for classes to learn stuff that isn't even particularly applicable. Because most of these MBA programs, or even undergraduate business programs, there isn't a requirement that you actually work in a corporation or own your own small business as a prerequisite to getting the degree. No, they have these controlled environments, these work study, group study, work projects, which, yeah, there's some benefit to them, but they're not the same as actually running a business. And that's why the academics like them, because they can control that. Academics don't like risk. They don't like having to deal with numbers typically. So they say, focus on these controlled projects. I personally think to get any business degree, you should have to prove that you've either been in a decent role in a company and been successful, at least management level, or that you can run your own small business and you have like balance sheets, financial statements to prove that for at least 2 years before you get your diploma, because at least you know how a business works. If you want to learn how a business works and you have no experience, instead of getting an MBA, just go work retail for a year. You'll know how a lot of business works. You'll know how to deal with customer service, how to deal with the jerks that you're going to have to calm down and give them what they want. You know how it works when people don't show up. That's a lot of what business is, and that's going to teach you more than being in an MBA course 9 out of 10 times, because these programs are just trying to take your money. So that's the third point. The fourth point is, well, an MBA will give me credibility. Well, if you're paying money for credibility, you're doing it wrong. And don't be the person, for the love of God, who puts MBA on their business card. John Paul Jones, MBA. Now, what the hell does that mean? If I had a master's degree, am I, Master of Arts guy? Or, I mean, in my case, it would be, BA guy? God forbid you didn't get a Bachelor of Science, because that would be more awkward if you put that at the end of your name. I even knew a guy who was a retail manager. He went to one of those for-profit schools, which, ironically enough, advertises alongside my videos because of the content I have. But he went to that, and in his defense, he did the finance and accounting specialization. He didn't do like general management or some crap like that. But then he put it on his business card, and he put it on LinkedIn. So-and-so MBA. I'm saying, what does that even mean? I reject it with the lawyers who are like Esquire, or the professors. Call me PhD. Call me Dr. Jones. Why? What have you accomplished? Are you some Dr. Jones? You're not a freaking kick-ass archaeologist played by Harrison Ford. You're just some guy who spent some of the best years of your life, crunched over a freaking book, reading that and writing a thesis no one's ever going to read. I don't think you deserve the title of doctor. I'm not going to call you doctor. I'll call you professor if I'm in a class. That's pretty much the end of it. The only people I call doctor who I really respect their title are actual medical doctors, because I think they've earned it. But the credibility thing is nonsense. You earn credibility by working hard and proving and getting experience and making people trust you and making them respect your work ethic. They're not going to respect the fact, oh, you have an MBA. In this generation, having a degree is almost meaningless. It worked in the baby boomer generation. It worked to a lesser extent in the generation right before the millennials, but now it's effectively meaningless. No one really treats it seriously anymore. And I really have to emphasize this, which leads into the final point. People who get an MBA because, well, my career is not really going anywhere, maybe it'll kind of jumpstart it. And folks, okay, just calm down. Calm down for a minute. If you are making 30 or 40,000 and you either have no debt or you're gradually paying off your debt, you are doing smack bottom fine. You don't need to be, oh, I need another degree, oh, I need another. Don't worry about that. Your friends who are going and getting those degrees, you have to really think about it. You might not know because it's not polite to ask, but they're probably not making much more than you are. You think about it, you spend 20 or 30K, 50K on an MBA. If you're not making, if you don't get a raise almost instantaneously of 10 grand, is it really worth it? Is it worth putting in all that money and time for a degree that isn't really increasing your salary? But if you are, let's say you're making that 30 or 40K, you're in a position, if you're diminishing your debt or you have no debt, you can start saving a little bit on the side. You can start investing. You can have a small business on the side. You can focus on that type of stuff. You don't have to worry about, oh, I need an MBA to advance. You're not going to advance with an MBA. Most degrees you could just learn. If we had a sensible society, you could get into most professions, you could learn them on the job. Lawyer, professor, manager. You don't need a degree to do that. But this whole thing, we're wrapped up, you need a degree. If you've accomplished those basic things, don't feel like you're behind. Don't feel like you're underachieving. Those people are getting those degrees. Most of them aren't going to make much more than you are. And at the end of the day, they've spent more time and money while you have more freedom to work on things that actually matter. So I'm going to really stress it. If you think an MBA is going to save the day, you need to reassess and you need to look at, is it really going to propel me in that way, or am I just doing it for vanity, which a lot of people do. If you like this video, please comment and subscribe and let me know if there's other degrees that you're considering pursuing and you'd like to see a bit of a profile on those. We will go ahead, because the mission that we need to get through our heads in this generation is helping people avoid the financial pitfalls of thinking, oh yeah, well, another degree, another degree. No, all right, you don't know how to follow a video properly. But I'm making this video because I've seen a disturbing number of people who either are enrolled in these programs or are strongly anticipating or considering enrolling in one, and they don't seem to understand economic invincibility, and we are going to talk about 5 bad reasons to get a Master of Business Administration, more commonly known as the MBA. Now, to begin, I'm going to just qualify and say I am talking about making poor decisions. They'd be correct. This idea of the MBA is this passage to paradise comes from its original founding. Back in the day, MBAs were established with the idea in mind what they're getting themselves into. The first point which people will usually string out is, well, an MBA is the golden ticket to success. And I guess if by golden ticket they mean the shiny edge of the EBT card they're going to be using if they keep it out lower tier, online, hybrid, and every other assortment of the general MBA populace. I'm not talking about Booth, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, that group. So if you want to come with prissy comments about that, it's just going to prove that